Okay. Let's get to it. If you understand Bears football, you know what's going on right now. Because the Chicago Bears are not playing games at Hallis Hall. And when I say not playing games, I mean we ain't playing no games. Caleb is out there throwing darts, no OTAs, salute the burden, absolute rockets, if you will. Dylan Thieneman making plays on day one of his debut, if we think about it. And to be honest, the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois, more importantly, may be losing the team to Indiana. This stream right here talks about the Paradise. It talks about OTAs. We're going to cover all of it. And let me tell you, we're not leaving until we get some answers, everybody. So, what is going on with you all? Welcome in. Postal Gang, Mailbox Sports, Postman 1914. We see Broski Bear in the building. We see D Honda, the Steelmatic Network. What's going on, everybody? Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you are new here, make sure to try to tune in every week, Sundays, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, I believe it is. But if you're here right now, go ahead. You don't want to miss what we got going on today. Practice. What you know about the G Honda? Do you know anything about practice, man? But we ain't talking about a game, man. You know, if you're really talking about it, this is what you're doing. It's important. It's important, man. Practice is important out here, and the juice is with it. So first, we'll get to it right here, y'all. I want to get right into it. We don't want to waste time. If you've been following the Bears this week, OTAs week 2 already taking place. Mandatory as far as the week 1 was more sort of a honeymoon phase, if we will, broski. Um, I would say that still right now you get the phase where everybody is fresh, everybody's smiling. Nobody is, well, not everybody is dinged up in any way, shape, or form. And I think like week 2 of camp is where you start to ask and potentially answer some real questions, bro. What juice worth the squeeze out here? All the juice is worth the squeeze, G Honda. We're gonna get into this right here. This is what we know. Last year we was 11-6. Took the NFC North, if you will, G Honda, and I hope these boys don't give it back. And that was the first time in 8 years, I believe, broski. Yeah, 2018 is the last time we won a division. 2020 is the last time we went to the playoffs. And a playoff win. That was the first time we got one of those in nearly 2 decades. I believe that was like, I don't remember. Let's not talk about it. It's been quite some time since we got a playoff win until this year against those hated Green Bay Packers. And so I believe that the expectations have risen. They are a bit more heightened. Even with the trepidation and the doubts that people have about a lot of things going on, we have what I would classify as expectations this year. Those are real. Ben Johnson, year 2 of being a head coach, and I don't look at his job to be lightly taken or misapproached, if you will. I don't want him to lightly approach this particular year because you know the players and you know what things are going on. Caleb is in year 2 of being system, but in year 3 of the league. And so while year 2 was infinitely better in terms of productivity for year 1, I do understand that the snaps and the repetitions that he got were still somewhat beneficial. So year 3 for Caleb, a big year, already on the Madden cover. We know that they have some what we classify as what do you call a high bar for Caleb, and you know it's nothing else to really be talked about in that regard. So I guess the question that I would ask, and I guess anybody else would ask, and I got the question that I posed to you: will the offense take the next step this year? Let me know in the comments. do you think the Bears offense will take the next step? Not replicating last year, but doing things in a different way. And G Honda, we do not need Pat Queen or Alex Highsmith to do anything. And Pesos, I appreciate you for doing so because I did not start the show off the way in which I should have. I am a boycotting Bulls fan, but my sincerest sympathies and prayers go out. Stacey King and his family. Rest in peace. Rest in paradise, if you will. Stacey passed today, I believe. I do not know if everybody knows Stacey King played for the Chicago Bulls in the championship heyday. Was a longtime broadcaster alongside Neil Funk for the play-by-play commentary for the Bulls. So rest in power to what I think is a guy who coined the phrase too big, too fast, too strong for one Derrick Rose in his MVP year. And we take a moment of silence so that we pay proper homage to Stacey before we get back in the Bears talk. So, if we can, we understand that practices are closed right now. So, only those privy persons are allowed to get behind the scenes to go ahead, give us some of the plays and the clips that we get to look over today to see if anything is looking crisp, getting anything that we can gather from what we see in shorts and notepads, because the Bears, in terms of the things that we get, are coming directly from the site of the team, social media drops, IG clips, so on and so forth. So, like I said, I got a couple of those that we're going to put to screen. If you see next to me is Montez Sweat. We are 98 days away from the kickoff of the NFL season. So every time we come on to stream, I would hope to find a famous player a notable player, and if not, at least somebody who plays and has worn the number 91 for the Chicago Bears as we do a countdown. So every week we'll do something to that degree right there. And we'll get into some of the camp things. I do appreciate what Jerry just said right there about the doubt or the question about any of those guys that are outside of the nucleus of the team, the undrafted free agents. What guys have a chance to stand out, make some noise? That is something that I would wonder about T. Miles. Because if you think about it, some of those guys will be what I think are the impetus for the depth on the team. They will become future starters in the league, if not for our team. And I think that you kind of look at a guy like Jaron Clump will be on the practice squad this year, offensive lineman, I believe. The Vanilla Gorilla, Hayden Barnett, I believe, plays and makes the roster. Has some depth this year and gets to learn. And you still have to see how everybody plays out in terms of the people that are already on the roster and who actually sticks. Some of those guys that are there now will not make the roster, and some of these new guys will actually go ahead and I think usurp them in terms of the drive, cost efficiency, and what you can actually produce for the team on the whole. So in that regard, I want to know what's the question? How could I put it? I'm going to try to best as I can keep up with any new camp findings, details, and undertones for the undrafted free agents and the later round picks or what have you. We will have a weekly update on camp, as I do believe this week is when they start the last iteration before they go into a little bit of a break. So I want to know basically what we think we can expect from the team. And what we can expect from the team, while you being totally ludicrous, G Honda, talking about this wide receiver 2 mesh. And let's put the giraffe on the carpet and find out uh why none of my chats I seen in your wonderful chat room. But we don't need no compliments. Ken, welcome in. How you feeling, my boy? Let's get into it because Caleb, although like I said in shorts, Caleb is looking a bit nasty right now. So we gotta start with the man himself. Madden cover, expectations, year 3, all of the things that go along with how we can anticipate the success of the Bears is largely contingent upon whether or not Caleb is going to give us what we need behind center and under center for that particular situation. So we got a couple things out here that we'll look at. Let's go ahead and pull some of those up as we look at some of these clips here. Because I do believe we got it. So let's go ahead. This is my man's. As a matter of fact, we're going to give you a little expose on him. Give you a little spotlight on Caleb before we get into it. We're going to call it straight dimes. If everybody ready for some straight dimes, let's go ahead and hit it for you. We see that one right there. Look at that to DJ. Boom. Look at that how he threw it through for Colston. Ripped it over there to Keenan back in the day. Watch the rip to Rome. Who he got? I don't know who that was on the ground, but he caught it. It might have been OZ, I think. Look at the jump man to Luther. Caleb did that jump man throw a lot more than I ever realized. Let's really go through that if you wanted to. How many times Caleb in this clip right here? I think he did the jump man, the logo. I think he did it at least 4 times, man. So it wasn't new. That's his natural throwing motion right there. Look how he crafting him up. Boy, we don't need no nickels out there. We don't need no nickels. We straight dimes. Tell me what y'all like in there. Did anybody see exactly what I saw right there? One, Ken, I'm always going to be the person to understand that the parts of Jay Cutler that people like is one of those right there. His willingness to disregard traffic. I don't see anybody but the guy I'm going to get it to, and I'm going to get it to that guy, and that's a Madden-like trait. And they got some Madden hacks if y'all football fans, fantasy football guys, and everything else. We'll talk about that later on because we will be getting a Postal Fantasy Football League this year. Next episode, I do believe we will cover the gambit of fantasy. We will do a group interactive fantasy draft for people who want to learn about fantasy football. And we will try to have our very first annual Postal Fantasy Football League on YouTube. And by on YouTube, I mean persons that are part of the community will have the opportunity to go ahead and be a part of that fantasy football team. Because right now is the time when people start to look at clips, highlights, and everything of their favorite teams, depth charts, and they kind of want to surmise exactly where they think players will land when it comes to their pecking orders and what have you. Because it's imperative to know who's going to be a starter, who's going to be the backup, so on and so forth when we're talking fantasy. But we will talk fantasy when we get to that particular point. That's coming to you very, very soon. So anybody interested, keep that in mind as we give you a little bit of what we got going on in training camp right now. This is the training camp vibes of our quarterback. I know Broski said that Luther will be wide receiver 1. This is the vibe of how Caleb is starting to find 0. Well, I should say 1-0. Don't worry about me. Cash is an actual daughter alert. I know when they coming into the house based on when he starts to sound his idiotic alarm. And y'all see, if y'all can see, this is what Broski Bear says that Luther is about to do to everybody in the league. Broski say he about to stun on them hoes. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all think this is a breakout year for Luther Burden. We won't talk about his pecking order. If this is going to be a breakout season for Luther Burden, put a 1 in the chat. And I need to work on some AI so I can get AI to promptly go ahead and type in my own surveys and polls. So I don't got to do it myself, Ken. Welcome in. If I ain't say that again, my friend. G Honda, I am not concerned about anybody's team. See, G Honda, especially this part of the year, I need everybody. Let me put this cup down. This is what I need everybody to understand. The only team that you should focus on and be inherently focused on, I mean laser focused, is on yours. Because if your team, in case nobody knew, if your team does what they need to do and they are capable of doing, and you got a good team, then guess what? You don't worry about other people. This good team's going to be in the league. I think it's going to be about 7, 8 good teams in the league every year. You're going to have to fight some of them. You're going to have to face some of them. You're going to have to dust them all up. Not worried about the Rams or the Seahawks. Matters not. If I want to be sports page, I'll be out here talking about everybody else's team that don't matter. I talk about your team you play against ours because it's pertinent, and I will keep up with how your team does as it relates to mine. But I really don't care about trying to figure out your team, G Honda. They thoughts ain't my thoughts. And it's Jerry, it's odd that you say that right there because I have a graphic that we can go to right now while we talk about the offense real fast. Let's go ahead and see if I can pull that up for us. I believe I got one of those. Did I add it to? Oh, I know exactly where it's at. We're gonna have to do a little bit of a dig for a minute. Sorry, guys. Not sorry. We'll get right on into it. Now, this graphic here says if Caleb Williams throws for at least 4,000 yards, here is how it will be distributed. What I want to know, every time I put a graphic up, we're going to hold up that graphic. We're going to let you see the player. We're going to go over the expected or anticipated season total. If you want to put the number that you think this person will achieve, you can absolutely do so. But at minimum, I want you to put over or under when you see the graphic come up for what these individual weapons should have in terms of what they classify for receiving yards total. So this is what happens if Caleb throws for 4 racks. Let's check it out. Sorry about that. Did it wrong. So Colston Loveland. A whole 1,000 yards. So they got Colston at 1,000. Anybody agree with Colston being at 1,000? What, G Honda, you done lost your mind? 3,000 yards, huh? Sure, G Honda. You think he is Aaron Rodgers or something like that? Over 1,000 for Colston. And let's look at this right here because this is interesting to me. What is it? T Miles says, I acknowledge Caleb has elite talent, but I am unconvinced at this point that he is him. If you are unconvinced that Caleb is him, and by him I mean progressing to be an elite quarterback, not elite talent. If you think Caleb is on the way to being an elite talent, put a 1 in the chat. That's my first primary question. We're gonna get to everybody on the list individually, Kenny. But right now I want to know what we think about Poston. Is he over or under 1,000 yards? I don't know if I missed it. 900 minimum for Colston. That's what. Okay. So you going under 1,000? He said 900. He gave me a number. 900 is good right there. Now we move on to Romeo Odunze. Romeo, oh Romeo, big fro, foot will never heal the same. Now, first things first, did anybody get bent out of shape for Rome's press conference when he, without medical savvy or terminology inclination, gave you a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo about his foot essentially never being the same because he broke it? Oh, y'all, hey, y'all wilding to me, man. I really think y'all wilding. Y'all think Rome or Doomsday is getting under 700 yards? Under 800 yards. That's wild. This man had 751 being the number 3 option in his rookie year, and he missed 5 games last year, and he under 800, y'all. Well, it's 2-2 right now. I gotta put a poll up right now. Rome brought out controversy. I didn't think it was gonna be that way. Rome brought out controversy. Rome over or under 300. I put the poll out. I want to hear what y'all got to say about this one right here. This is kind of intriguing to me. That I think we have a lack of trust. Davion is Casanova, and Romeo ain't never been him. Boy, you ain't know nothing about him. Hey, if G Honda ain't doing his best impression of a Foster or something like that right now, I don't know who will. He said, Kyle Manung got to get more than Rome. Are you wildin', bro? Now, first, and what you've seen so far is past 751 yards as the number 3 option, but I get it. I don't know what we seen to say he under 800 yard receiver, but I guess since he never eclipsed it, nobody can, because nobody has eclipsed 800 yards, so none of them capable based on what I seen. And everybody else played the full slate of games. No, he said, I don't believe he said yards. Let me look at that again. Oh, yeah, he will have more yards because he's going to run the ball. He's going to run the ball and catch it. Rome won't have 1,200. Ooh, 1,200. I don't know about 1,200, T. Hey, and so even with that, because Caleb is comfortable and Caleb is confident, and what I see as far as footwork and timing is working. But this is what I want to understand. Training camp has intimated that he has thrown several rockets to Rome, Luther, and Colston. So why would I not understand or think Tom, that Caleb himself will lose trust in Rome, because I argue to the dismay of it that he favored Rome and peppered him with targets last year. I'm curious to know whether or not we think that Rome's targets will go down significantly. Like, I'm curious to know about it, and bear down to you, Tom. We believe right now that Luther will be the number one target getter, or Colston. Well, matter of fact, let's get through this poll, and I got another question for us, because this will say something to me right there. This gonna say something to me right here. I kind of like playing this game right here. But yes, I really can't recall seeing much of Colston or Luther until what, maybe weeks 8 or 9. Is that about right, Ken? As far as when we actually saw the rookies come out? So I'm interested about a lot of those things. Before Rome was hurt, he was getting gouged with targets. He missed 5 games last year, Broski. What are we talking about? How many games? I'm Broski. How many games he missed his rookie year? Am I missing something? Two years he missed 5. He missed 5 games. Yeah, he missed a total of 5 games. How he missed too many games, Broski? I'm confused by that one. And Broski, I don't know if you know, man, but I don't run StreamYard, but I do have a Discord. If ever you want to be a part of the conversation in real time, bro. I know I know sometimes you got thoughts. And all rookies got to earn their way with Ben, I believe. If you demonstrate you know the playbook, I believe you'll be on the field and you'll get your opportunities. But I don't believe you come in usurping the other people unless you are really, really ready. So we're gonna end that poll because I got one more poll to get into real quick. 5 total votes in the chat. That's under half of the chat. Let's try to get more people involved in deciding the fate of the poll. 5 is good. 8 is great. 11 is all the way there, or something like that. But this is what I want to know right here. Who will get boom? And we own. This is my next question for the chat. Who? And I mean who? You missed 5 games last season because of a fractured foot. Broski, I think you are totally missing the mark right there and off substantially when you talk about him missing games. Not to mention he came back and played in the playoffs and games after that. I mean, we're going to have to substantially disagree about this missing too many games and need to stay on the field, because he actually returned to the field last year after he broke his foot. He don't miss games every year. He didn't play 34 games and missed 5, so 29 games, and that's not injury prone in the slightest. I mean, and you know, so okay, and Ken, this is why I think that Luther. This is why I think both of those things happened. Both of those guys were injured, and I think we misinterpret learning the playbook as for when Ben wants to put you on the field. Like, I don't believe Ben just purposely didn't give Kyle Monunga as many opportunities or Colston anything else. I don't think he just held him right there. Yes, and I'm not giving him keys. I don't know if you even. I don't even know you're responding to me. So let's just put a caveat there. But I'm saying he can touch the field and be impactful. Well before week 8 or 9. I think that was due more to them being injured and not being learning of the playbook. And their injuries contributed to that. You know, Colston had a shoulder injury coming out of school that slowed him down. Luther was banged up, I believe, and then didn't necessarily get into the playbook as fast as the coach wanted him to. So I take nothing away from what you say about the perceived trajectory based on what we got going on. But yeah, if he learns things in the offense and he is a blocker or a playmaker, I think he may be able to get onto the field in a serious way before week 8. And I'm almost fairly certain he'll be on the field before week 8. Much like Sam Roush. Because Caleb has already talked Sam Roush up on the Heights podcast with what do you call it? The Heights with the Kelsey brothers. Robbie, what's going on with you, man? Okay. Another thing right there. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Ken. I'm not as far as pass volume, we still got a ways to go. I got another misnomer, I believe, on my hands. Because Robbie says, I mean, in a real way, yeah. I didn't say they sat down for 8 weeks, man. All right, y'all. I can't get down the rabbit hole. I mean, significant, impactful play. Maybe I didn't clearly articulate that. If any rookie has learned the playbook, can adapt to yes. He won't ever be a top option this year, I don't believe. You about the 5th option, the 4th option. That don't mean he can't be involved. Jade Walker was involved and he took a while to get on the field. I dig it. We won't get down the rabbit hole. I got a graphic for what do you call Xavion's yardage as well. So as I stated to everybody, I have a graphic that has a player on it. Until we switch to that graphic, please let's not forecast or predict about other players because those players might be on the list. Can we agree to that right there? All questions that I ask will be outside of the over-under question for yardage. But let's get back to it real fast. Because he said, and I quote, Rome got to stop dropping so many passes. And how many passes did Rome drop last year? If you know the answer, how many passes did Rome drop last year? Because I will say, I agree. You do need to catch the ball. You do need to catch the ball, and you do need to not drop it. But I also think that we focus on critical moments a lot more than actual statistics when we talk about things. So in the chat for me, how many drops did Roma Dunze have last year? They were in critical situations, very true. Yeah, he got 4 drop passes last year. Not in that game alone, man. Yo, wow. Pro Football Focus. 4 drops during the 2025 NFL regular season. Let me see. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can see what that says. I don't know. Oh. That. And so you can go through his logs. Now, critical drops. The timing of the drops. You drop touchdowns. You drop critical catches. But there's been plenty of YouTube pieces that I've watched. I watched 3 videos on YouTube alone about Rome, and the argument is the critical instance of the drops, not the unbelievable drops. But it was only 4. It was piss poor, and they absolutely sucked. Wait, go through his pass logs for drop passes. Whoever on PFF need to hand in their stat duties. Now, I do agree that, to me, that's almost worse in some ways to drop it in key spots, i.e. the touchdown against the Packers. It wasn't 35, and all y'all, everybody is being hyperbolic. Is my point. If we want to argue what people do for a living and they research, I can only give you what registered statistician would give you for stats. So if anybody wants to challenge that, by all means, no importa. Like, I don't care to debate what the websites say. Usually people say cite your sources, and I watch a lot of things right now where they talk about Medium Man on YouTube, for example. He gives you a lot of data and statistics from accredited sources. But people don't like facts. They like feelings. So he caught 6 touchdown passes, but a lot of people gonna say that didn't happen either, because facts don't matter. It's only feelings. So I'm done. I'm done talking about. If y'all found another website that says he dropped more, feel free to type it in the chat. Otherwise, I love being a fake content creator, thinking I know what I'm talking about. Far be it from me to understand that people make mistakes, but I can't believe that many sites are making this mistake. So I only referenced the first one because I didn't want to go to StatMuse, but we'll go to StatMuse just as well. On Broski, we won't ever agree on no bullshit like that. That stats are subjective. Drop passes. If it's so subjective like that, that's incompletions when I throw it a target to you, but you don't catch it. That's so. If that's subjective, drops are not subjective. I don't. It's no way you can tell me that a drop is subjective. But let's move along, because nobody is giving me an actual site to dispute PFF. Everybody's giving me their feelings. True or false? PFF may be dumb as hell. StatMuse may be retarded, but and my apologies for that term in particular. But nobody's giving me anything to counter the argument. So if we can agree that we all don't know, since nobody believes what's been tracked, So can we all agree, since everybody here is statisticians, that none of us work for PFF or any of those other sites, and unless you put a, you see what I'm saying? Nobody cares about. So what do we care about, y'all? What are stats good for? I'm curious. And not to mention, I don't know anybody particularly in person, so I don't even know if you wear glasses or anything else to talk about your eyes. So I don't trust nobody. Yeah, people who use them do. Um, go with whatever craziness we want, but like, let's be serious. I don't have this real answer. You don't either. But we would spend 5 minutes in dialogue arguing something that uh reputed or reputable website would give you. Not momandpop.com, but hey, hey, let's get back to something that I think is much more important, because we never gonna agree on that stat right there. Seriously, if we talk about that, right? Just it's no cap that I can agree with. Broski, we don't disagree with that, and that's why I told you to jump in. So let's retract my statement in saying that it's not subjective. What I'm saying is not subjective is the fact that we have no evidence to the contrary. Only one person showed me anything different, and that was less than 4. But we would sit here and try to argue about somebody's job. Now, I'm pretty sure if you work for PFF or if you work for ESPN or anybody like that, you wouldn't be so dismissive of their research. But because you have done none, I have done none. I've not went over all 22s and watched every drop. But like I just said, somebody gave me ESPN as a reference point, so salute to them. But otherwise, this is an exercise in futility, because we all being subjective with our viewpoints instead of the I'm say Ken, let me see. If y'all want to, let me get into the Discord real quick. Give me 1 minute. And we will get right on over to the sports talk. No, I want you to stop trying to be the statistician to count the drops. That's all, broski. And Jerry, my grandfather said, "Feel with your hands, not with your heart." And most of this is all emotion based, in my opinion, right now. It's counterproductive to the rest of the conversation. It's counterproductive to the conversation for us to try to keep going back and forth about this particular point. It's merely to say that there are people that get, so by that proxy, I can say that 661 yards, I can say the yards, touchdowns, and everything else, throw them out the windows. Those didn't happen. Subjective. Maybe they got a spot wrong on the field. Like, what are we doing? No, I'm taking it as it's not what you say, Broski Bear. It's not 9 or 10 or over 10. I'm saying it's closer to that than it is to what you say, in my estimation. Not what you saw and classified as drops. Can we do that? And that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. No need to cap form, and no need to make stuff up to be hyperbolic. So, no, we jump in the Discord and talk about that, or we move along to the next subject, because we get nowhere with Rome right now. So, Caleb in year 2 under Ben Johnson will be an absolute problem. Not a prediction. My absolute guaranteed delivery. Consider that package shipped right there. We got nothing else to talk about with Roma Doomsday. And we get into another person, so we can talk about his non-drops, because just like Rome, his percentages and drops were low as well. One Luther Burden. Luther Burden the third. Let's talk about him. This is a conversation I think people have been waiting to have way more than anything else. Broski, Count Dracula, how you feeling today, man? It was a spirited conversation. I don't think it solved anything. I don't think that we found any common ground, but it was a way for us to talk about a controversial receiver. Typically, I think every year we have a lightning bolt of a player. I think last year that the lightning rod player was a DeAndre Swift for most people. Most people had him out off the team, bad, wasn't good and everything else. So it's just what can I say? This is always gonna be a player that is a lightning rod, because in this now, and this is where y'all subjectivity come in at. How many drops do you think Luther Burden had last year? In the chat, how many drops did Luther Burden have last year? Curious to know. So we don't get too off on a tangent over there. We can keep to it. Drops for Luther Burden last season. How many will we say? Two for Robbie. 5 for Dracula. But see, the only thing that I would have to go with that, Ken, is if 3 sites had 2, 3, or 4, and no sites had 10, 11, or 12, I'm speaking of which one will be closer to the truth, not this gospel of absolute accuracy, since we've already talked about the fact that it's subjective. So the fact that we can't say, if the sites all say 4 and below, and everybody in the chat says 10 or above, if we can't even say, hey, let's say he has 6 and call it lunch. If we can't do that, that's silly shit to me. You know what I mean? Like, versus me trying to give you my absolute opinion about it, or versus me trying to give you theirs, I think there should be some common ground or meet in the middle, because there's always something that we see versus what they see. And so let's even say that we have went down the rabbit hole of saying that you doubled his 4 and that turned to 8. If 8 had been propagated, would that have been sufficient enough to quell the argument that he had substantially more? Even if you think that he had 4 in one game, because I don't go by anybody's feelings in the chat. But when we can't do that right there, I'm saying we're being so willfully obtuse about a stat, and we give so much denigration to actual professionals that get paid to do something. I think that in itself is like a disservice, because everybody in this chat has a job. And for me to totally discredit what you say about your job or what you do in your job, to me, I can understand disagreement in it, but the dismissal of it is what I can't do. And Warner the driver, 8 may be the case, but what I'm saying is more sites were going towards the low than what we were saying in the chat. So would it be fair to say that if more sites were closer to a common number, are they all lying, or are we misinformed about how we see things? Uh, in essence, like I said, the number we just talked about, I probably would think Rome had about 8 drops or so last year. If you ask me, just going back through the Rolodex of games, I don't remember any 4 drops in one game, anything like that. But in that instance, if I didn't answer your question, Broski, but I didn't see you ask me about it, but I think I started the whole dialogue out that way. But I would say you can double that number and not feel offended. But I'm not here to go through each game, nor can anybody in the chat get me to back down that they are less accurate than we are. It's my point. If that makes sense to you, this is not an attempt for me to be right in any way. It's an attempt for me to express to you guys that if we think that they are so wrong, how is it that you are so right? It has to be a middle ground somewhere, because in a story there are 3 sides: yours, mine, and the actual truth. And what I'm saying is, PFF, I'm not interested in the pissing contest of trying to see how many times the ball touched somebody's hands or what have you. You understand what I'm saying? Fair enough, Ken. But I don't think that a website, because I've fancied working at these places, and I don't think that there's some narrative that you need to keep going. Well, that's a you got it's a you can replay it. You can replay it and find out if I offer my opinion. Nor that I rip anybody. So I think that's being hyperbolic and overly sensitive, broski. Jump in the Discord. Um, because I want us to clearly understand that I can disagree with your take or opinion without me classifying anything as ripping you or bashing you, because all of those are hyperbolic words that are a bit more sensitive than I think we need to be about a sports debate. If we disagree, we disagree. But I bashed nobody. I ripped nobody. I questioned your opinion about it, and I'm almost certain you can check the replay to see that I gave an opinion about it prior to you asking. But since I can't factually say that to be true, no problem. My point was not about my thoughts. It was which one was closer to the truth. The actual sites that get paid to do it, or us as a group. Not Price is Right who hit the number. But I get it. Um Analysts say, and Luther had 5 drops last year according to a couple of websites, so I'm pretty sure we agree that might be lower. I don't remember Luther having 5 drops. I think he had less, but maybe the betting lines wanted him to have more. Who knows? Most people look at Luther, like we have talked about already, in being a legit number 1. Not a slot piece, not a gadget player, um, but a guy that is a real playmaker, a guy that wasn't PFF that gave me that one right there, but just funny how, I guess, like I said, I think Luther had less than that, but y'all watched all the games. I didn't. Maybe it touched his hands 50 times and saw it. And we smell BS from all sites, because that wasn't a PFF right there. That StatMuse is a lie too, but I don't care. Let's get past 8 drops, because being said as a whole, and I quote, along with this wonderful guy known as Antoine Randall L, the wide receivers, and I say wide receivers, well, I should say pass catchers, were 3rd in the league in drop passes last year. So we're gonna say that all of them dropped the ball way too damn much, right? Bears drop passes. Let's see how many drop passes do y'all think we dropped last year? Because I say way too damn many, and your coaches know that to be the truth. So we gonna all agree on that. Can we agree that too many drops were made by everybody in critical situations? Yes, Broski. We need more. We need him to be healthy. I agree. Luke, he needs more from him, and I say that because we talked about it on Zoe's pod. His contract and Rome and Luther contract come up at the same time, and if they don't establish themselves as being alpha, both of them can't get paid because Caleb got to get paid too. So unless they do some creative can kicking, I don't know how it goes to be that way. Cash, no. My apologies, people. I don't know what he is hearing right now. But I did see T Miles said that he don't think Luther is a legit one. A lot of people in the media say he's a legit one, and I get a lot of fans that think he would be number one this year. So in the chat, will Luther Burden be wide receiver 1 this year or wide receiver 2? Drop that in the chat for me. Dracula, Warner. Don't think I don't see people come on in the room. We were in rapt conversation when we talk about Rome and the lightning rod Rome is this year, I believe. It's going to be real fun, I think, to kind of kick back and find out exactly what things we got going on. This is where they got Luther Burden. Hell yeah, way too many. Robbie enjoyed the day, man. The little one. This right here, we can go as an absolute lie, people. Anybody who believes Luther Burden is getting 675 yards in receiving this year has got to be telling me that you don't watch football and Luther's going to be not playing football this year. Hey, I want to know what game was it that he dropped the final pass that Ben said it's over with and started using Luther. Like, ain't no way. 675 yards? Boy, you lying. Boy, you don't sit your. Let me see if I got something to tell you what I think about that right there. Do I got something right there? Look, if anybody think that Luther gonna get 675 yards, you understand? If anybody can see Broski Bear's chat comment, let me know if you agree with it. I don't. But let me know. Warner, I need to get better at working on some cars. And I say get better confidence about it. You understand what I'm saying? Cash stop, sir. Because this 675 yards right here is absolutely over with. And I can't go for that. Oh, oh, no can do. Oh, hey, I love the way in which we go about these right here. Like last year at this time, we were talking about Rome being wide receiver 1. and a year later he won't get his 5th-year option. Interesting, but that's how I like how the difference in a year makes for us, because it's like I don't know many people last year that before the season started thought that he wouldn't be a number one option, and to see how quickly that feeling dissipates after 17 games, interesting concept. But we get back into Luther because I think that it makes sense for us right here, because this is what has to happen for us. He did have and thank you, Dracula, for the super sticker. Did have a situation where he had a slight ankle tweak, limited him for a couple days. So on a good note, the play that we just saw earlier from Caleb and him and everything is already happening at less than 100%. So a fully healthy or less than tweaked guy coming into September, I think, is warranted for us as far as expectation goes. But what I would also really like to know for us, because this is where I think the conversation will get fairly easy, but I want to know, because maybe I'm off, because today I've been off all stream according to the chat sentiment. So we get into it when we talk about who makes a bigger leap in year 2, Luther Burden or Colston Loveland. Both of them second-year players, both absolute weapons according to what we anticipate. So I want you to drop it in the chat. Who do you think has the bigger leap? Now, I think that leap is based on targets and so on and so forth. So the bigger leap to me would be Luther, because I think Luther would get more targets to come his way and thus turn it into more yards. I don't know that he will have, quote unquote, the bigger year than Colston, but he could, because Colston is a tight end. And so this is why I lean towards a Burden over Loveland, because I look at it in terms of productivity, and I think that Luther has an opportunity to have more yardage, more targets, and his yak ability gives him the opportunity to go ahead and score touchdowns at a rate that might be a bit more elevated, for lack of a better term, next year. I don't think that it'll be just we got something for everybody out here, Kenny. We got a Jade over under. I think let's make sure we click on to the next person, which I think is Cole Kmet. And I do think we got a Jade out here, so don't let me leave. But I do think that Luther has, because of opportunity of the wide receiver position, I think he may trust Colston more, but I think that Luther is not far behind in that trust. And I think that being a speedier guy and able to get some separation in the slot or wherever they line him up at, I think he's going to give him the opportunity to be that guy. Cole Kmet. Now, Cole Kmet is where I think this is my first under. I think Cole Kmet goes under these yards. Maybe his touchdowns pick up a bit, but I think he's under 525. Let me know what y'all think about Cole, because I do think he will have a significant role, but I think it'll be a secondary role in the tight end room, and maybe even like the 5th option wide receiver or pass catching wise. I think he'll still have, quite possibly about 400 yards or so. But I don't think that he'll have 525. And just a touch back, guys. If anybody has been around the stream for a while or since its beginning, we have a Discord. That Discord has what I classify as a voice chat. on Sundays or any live streams, we are always at liberty to request that the voice chat room be open so that if anybody feels as though their point is being misconstrued and they are a member of the Postal Gang, I want you to be able to express that in a way that does not become frustrating by typing it excessively. I don't want anybody to feel slighted or misrepresented in their opinion, but my disagreement will always be my disagreement if I have it. It will not be put out in a way that is light or delicate. Nor do I think you would question information that I present to you or anything else any less. When I told y'all 4 drops for PTF or PFF, if I could anticipate or assume people jump through the screen on me like I work for PFF. Nonetheless, I don't take it that way. But if you think you are being misunderstood, it gives you the foray to be heard specifically so that no point is misrepresented when you go about it. And so that the dialogue as a fan that we can have if we were face to face, we could possibly have a resolution or a total disagreement all together. But that's how it goes. Again, shout out to modern medicine, because these days you can expect people to get back lightning quick, because the turnaround on things seem to be Adrian Peterson fast these days for almost everybody. And so if we can, we got 1 over, 1 under. I think I will take me being the under. If anybody else has any opinion about Cole Kmet, we move to our next victim. DeAndre Swift, wide receiver yardage from the running back position. How many yards do we anticipate, over or under, for DeAndre Swift this year when it comes to the receiving backfield? Because I do believe that he will have the most, but I don't know that it'll be 425, so I'm going to go under where I'm at. I think he'll be in the mid 3s, 350 to 370. I don't see anything above that, but I could be wrong. Over or under receiving yards for DeAndre Swift? Because I do believe, if we can, let me go ahead and find out. I think we got a highlighted clip of DeAndre Swift pass catching. And if it's not here, it is already posted as a short on the page, so feel free to check it out. They have worked on a lot of wheel routes and so on and so forth. We've heard a lot of talk about DeAndre Swift and his rapport or connection with Caleb when it comes to receiving out of the backfield. While I think that Kyle Monangai will be improved in that regard, and I think that other guys will get an opportunity, i.e. Xavier Thomas lining up in the backfield and so on and so forth, I do believe that DeAndre Swift will be the focal point of the receivers as far as the running backs go. But that number right there is a bit rich for me. So I think we can go maybe 60, 70 yards below that. Those will be redistributed to somebody else because we do have other guys in the receiving core. Sam Roush, the rookie tight end. Now, if Sam were to actually be targeted in the offense, let's say week 9 through 17, 300 would be okay. So we under T-Miles, say 300 for Swift. Okay, I mean, hey, we can go in that round because I think that some of the running yards may increase this year. He may get past 1087. I think they try to use him up on his way out. They'll kind of scale back Monangai a bit to save his legs. And Kenny got us under on Roush. Is that correct? I'm not reading that wrong, right? Under on the Roush effect. Yeah. Because I already see you answered already for the other guy. Let's find out about our last poll, by the way. who do we have? Who get the most targets? Rome got the most targets, 12 votes, with 42% of the vote going to Rome, 33% of the vote going to Colston, and 25% on Luther. And Ken, I could see him being in about maybe maybe the 225 to 250 range, maybe 3 or so touchdowns this year. He may have the biggest job in terms of blocking, but I do believe that he'll be on the field of the rookies initially. He'll be on the field the most. He'll get the most snaps, but targets. Like, this is where the Xavier argument comes in for me, Ken. Well, I don't know that he can usurp the guys that are in front of him. So it's like he'll get some splash type of opportunities to make a play. He'll be able to slip a couple times when he's blocking in that 13 personnel, but I don't see a heavy dose of targets going his way. I say maybe he may get 24 to, let's say, 35 targets. So in those instances right there, it's always going to be that type of thought process for me. And while we talk about tight ends, we got a super chat from one of the driver, and his question is, how can Cole beat out new tight ends for targets? So we speaking, Cole Kmet will have more targets than every tight end they brought in this year. But if we're referring to a newer tight end than Cole, meaning Colston, he is backseat to Colston instantly. But he will be absolutely your number 2 wide receiver. I mean, tight end, my apologies. He won't suffer any less attention and targets to any other tight end with the exception of Colston Loveland. And I don't think it's even close in that regard. Just because I still expect Cole to be a integral part of the offense from touchdown standpoint, blocking, and just being a vaunted veteran that understands the system in and out, and nobody underneath him can say that they know the system better, or I don't think can even purport to hope to be able to prove you know it better than him in your rookie season. So I think it's a very easy thing for, if Cole maintains health, his dedication will always be there because he's a hometown guy, motivated to prove that the Bears may be bringing in too many tight ends. I think Cole beats out everybody behind Colston very easily, and only thing he has to do is continue to be Cole. I don't think it's no sleep lost at all. It's business as usual when you talk about a guy like him being able to do that. I don't see it being any way, shape, or form a drop off when we talk about that part right there. That makes sense to you, Warner. Again, appreciate it for the super chat, but Coley Cole is not in the holy hole. Kyle Monungai, another running back. And if I don't see Jade, which I think Jade is a part of the graphic still, it is not too many tight ends, Ken. But for tight end numbers, they all got to be looking around like, damn, bro. And don't think that I don't believe that Hayden Large will be at some point elevated past the practice squad and do something else. And Ken, like you said, he ran 13. He ran third most last year. I almost expect that to increase a bit. Wouldn't you? I would think that number goes up slightly when we talk about 13 personnel and how he want to address things, because he want to run to gas you with the pass. And I don't think that's going to stop, even with 13 personnel for some design runs for Caleb to be able to get out, bootleg, and do things like that. I think it's absolutely set up that way that he gonna have all of those people be a part of it, because he wants physical, imposing bodies that's blocking for him to be a part of the run game. And I mean, you call the undrafted tight end like Hayden Large and you say, I have a role in mind for you. I don't think you call a guy and try to recruit him to the team that you have a role for him to be in your practice squad for the duration. And so yes, there will be where you have to start and where you'll be majority because of who you are. But like, yes, right there, Ken. If Rouse if from all accounts he a Stanford guy that seems to be in tune with what they want and what they expect on the blocking end. And I think he'll be on the left side a lot more to, kind of help out with the left tackle. I think it's setting up to be one of those times where I might even bring up Hayden at times because if you can learn the playbook, I can platoon you guys with blocking opportunities and responsibilities. But if we can, so that we can get into it. Running back Kyle Monangai, 175 yards is what they got him down for when it comes to rushing yards. What do we think is his rushing yard opportunities? $175. I don't believe. I don't believe I go over that. I think he might be in a sweet spot right there when we talk about his particular passing opportunities. I think that's maybe he may reach 200, but I think that this is a sweet spot for Kyle Monangai when we talk about his anticipated motion and the 175-yard mark. I think we might actually sliver into where that works out for us. For anybody in the chat, over or under Kyle Monangai, what do we think is his over under in terms of receiving yards? Here's the last running back, I believe, on the list. Over under for Kyle Monangai, the Frenchman in certain people's head. Kile Mononge. You dig? Because I believe they might be as best they can be when it comes to that right there. And make no mistake, we talk about tight ends and Kyle Monangai, and straight cash, homie, is what comes up. Thank you again, Warner, the driver, for the super chat. As we see the question, people, it says, can Kyle Monangai solve the Bears' short yardage and pass protection woes? In essence, this is who can solve the Bears' short yardage and pass protection woes. This is going to be an unconventional answer for you, one. Ben Johnson can solve the short yardage and pass protection woes, and this is how. If I have any critique of Ben from last year, short yardage, especially around goal line, play calling was absolutely piss poor. And I think that when Ben references being able to get better and understand the situation at hand better as a coach and a play caller and your personnel, I think that Ben will stop being so creative in certain spots. And I think that he will go a lot more bread and butter when he references a certain position or down in distance when he wants to get something done. Or as we reference the Sam Roush and the Hayden Largers and the other tight ends, we saw oftentimes Ben utilize 6 offensive linemen as a heavy protection. Don't think that stops at the lineman. I think that'll attach itself to somebody like a Cole Hayden. I couldn't think of Hayden's name. Sam, Colston, everybody, Stephen Carlson even. Everybody on the team that makes the roster as a tight end especially will be expected to fill in and help out in those super heavy 13 types. And I see that the way in which being utilized personnel in those scenarios is the cash. Over 300 for Cal Monunga, huh? I want to know how many yards you got everybody throwing for, essentially, is what that's going to tell me. It's going to be substantially more yards you got going on if you think that Monunga is over 300 this year. That means we got about at least 600 plus yards in receiving from the backfield. I like it. If we can throw 4,500 yards out here or more, I'm not opposed to the yards being ran up. Miles for real, run them up for me. Monunga gonna have 300 yards receiving. So Broski, which one has the most, Swift or Monunga? If you got to make a play, who has the most yards receiving between the running backs? Because right now we got them at about. You made me mute myself. Dracula. I almost muted myself again. Okay. So about 600 yards from the receivers, and closer to the start of the season, we'll have a prediction show in terms of these types of yards or what have you, just so that we can get an accurate count. I want to write them down, put them in a capsule, and we want to find out whether or not, because we'll rate predictions against. I'll give you my prediction specifically. You can give me yours. We'll see who's the closest, and we'll rehash this throughout the course of the year, because I am always willing to have those, what do you call, repurposed streams where we can find out what I got right and what I got wrong. Because don't get it wrong, I like to be right, but I'm not always right. But we get to prove who is, or at least who's closest to what they think, when we get to have these types of feedback. So we'll get into that particular portion of it a lot later. But in the meantime, in between time, 600 yards is what we can tab for running backs, to just as a little precursor. So we got a couple more people. Let's see if we got those guys out real quick so we can get back into it. Xavier Thomas is who they have having 100 yards. And they do not have Jade Walker on this list. So, over or under 100 yards receiving for Xavier Thomas is my first question. And then we'll get into my poll question, because they do not have him up here. But I think that it's a travesty not to. It is absolutely disrespectful not to have Jade up. So, first question for us. So this is what we're going to put as a poll question while we talk about the over or under for Xavier Thomas. Will Jade Walker surpass 350 passing yards for the Chicago Bears this season? And while you type that in, we will get back to it, as Dracula has a super chat filling up the mailbox right now. And the question is, Monunga's ball security and between the tackles vision has been highly praised. But with the Bears adding so many dynamic young receiving weapons, where does Kyle fit into the passing game? The backfield in itself will always be very hyper present when it comes to the passing game for Ben Johnson. Not to mention that the tight end and the running back are a quarterback's best friend, and those dump off passes, screen passes, wheel routes, the bread and butter of how you get the other guys set up for the things they do so well. So I think that it is not. Go ahead and get into it right now. I think that Kyle fits into the passing game in an appropriate setting. So what I say as far as where he fits in it, he is far from the bottom of the pecking order when it comes to receiving options. And I say that because he, by default, has to be one of the primary options when it comes to an escape route. Rather than Caleb bailing out, making Superman type of or Houdini escapes all the time and running, you want to see him be able to dump the ball off to a guy like a Monungai, like a Swift. And I don't see that after the year that Kyle Monungai had, his role becomes more diminished in any way. And so while it may be packaged differently in terms of the passes, like I said, I don't see him having 300 receiving yards personally, but I see him having far more impactful yardage when it comes to first downs out of the backfield. When it comes to touchdowns being increased, I think he goes up a tick because Ben learns that he is the power back in all situations. And I think that a year later, a year more comfortable in the system, and a year more comfortable with being knowing the player, I think truly never diminishes his role, but it may be even increased because of where they found him. Like the 7th-round underdog has to be something that I think is a factor because it's something they're proud of. They're proud of the guys that they find that nobody else clearly identified. And so when you can get those types of things going on, I think that he's absolutely happy about that. And Broski Bill, I'm glad you gave us a breakdown, even though we'll get to a different one for me later on. Khalif Raymond is a person that I totally forgot about when we speak about the wide receiving core. So my apologies for being dismissive to Khalif because I think he'll have a more important role early on than many of us would give him credit for. Hell, I even forgot about him. So I know it's better more than I give him credit for. I totally dropped the ball on even remembering that we signed him this offseason. And I don't think it's just for I don't think it's just for kick return duties or what have you. So yeah, I'm thoroughly annoyed with myself that I haven't gotten it together. Totally forgot about this guy. Khalif Raymond is a part of the Bears, and I wiped him off the roster like he gonna get cut from day one. How mighty dismissive of me. I don't know how to do it, but I did it. So what we gonna do about it? Speaking of how we got to all of the offensive buzz, we will have to pivot a bit and talk about this thing called what's the word? Oh, the rookies on defense. Do not forget about our rookies on defense making waves out here. So let's get to it. I'll give you a little bit of highlight first for a DeAndre Swift situation out here, so we can kind of get a glimpse of how they might want to use a guy like a DeAndre Swift and so on and so forth for near the offensive weapons when we talk about players, Warner and Broski and everybody else like that. And he got roamed for 12 or 1,300 account out there. I see it, T Miles. I love when we type these things in because the chat comes back up and we can populate exactly what we thought later on. Now, we got another rookie before we get to the defense, and this is one Xavier Thomas. So Xavier showing you right now he can catch with his helmet. And he's also showing you, because they have raved over Xavier as one of the rookies to watch, that his hands as a wide receiver is in fact something that they see. It's not a gimmick, and he is not out here to be a gadget player in the Bears' estimation, but the season itself will bear out where he goes. Let's get into another weapon because they talk about it. Let's listen to him. Speed car. Now, if y'all look at that one and shout out to Rachel Cube jumping right in the chat with a super sticker, I appreciate you. Colston Loveland, while we talk about the wide receivers, and we've had so much conversation about the wide receivers today, I think that we totally miss out on how people are viewing Colston Loveland this year. One, ripped apparently. Now I hope you're back over here, Kenny. Caught passes, looks big, looks fast, doing things that nobody talks about. And I appreciate the fact that Colston has taken seriousness to his body in this preparation. He's been around Cole and all pass catchers for that matter, along with Caleb for the season. And shout out again for another super sticker, Rachel. Hey, one day I'm gonna get Warner. Warner got to tell me what he like out here. We're gonna try to work on it so we can get Warner to understand that when the bell is called, we appreciate when Warner drops those. Dracula gotta let me know what he think about his, cause we're gonna find a drop for you one day so we can get a specific drop for my continued supporters, because I want you to know that you are a part of the chat, even outside of the days that you are a part of the chat. Let's listen to another little thing we got going on. We talk about weapons. They think Xavier will be more than a gadget guy. All right. Now, did we see what was talked about right there with Xavier Thomas? Because while I do not believe that he will immediately burst on the scene and be this weapon that nobody expected, there were several teams allegedly attempting to draft this guy, which is why he ended up being taken in the third round, because he wouldn't have been there otherwise. And the fact that so many people had eyes on this guy, a profile for him, and they think that he can be an instant difference maker, I think personally, you got to watch out for him. You got to take note, take heed, keep your eyes out for him, and don't pencil him in to be such a non-factor in the offense this year. And I won't say breakout, super large role. Wow, we didn't see this coming, but I do. It's her favorite jingle, Warner. But I think that those types of things that players, reporters, when they see these things, it's something to take hold of, because everybody trusts their eyes. But if you're not there, can you trust anybody else's eyes to what they're seeing? They say he has good hands. And I'm worried about, when a fast guy, can you catch? And right now, the fact that even in the route, the clip that I showed, gave us a little bit of an intimation that he is able to go ahead, see the ball into his hands, make a play after he gets the ball in his hands, and be effective. Now, they posted some things for our first round pick, Dylan Thieneman. Real small drill for him right there. This is one of his first drills coming out in training camp. Nothing new, but it does give you a little bit of lead into Thieneman season. And here goes the rookie for you. The back pedal looks fluid. Look at those hips. Look at the turn he got going on. Back pedal was nice. And he says, what I'm going to do is high point the damn ball so you don't get to. Watch him again. Watch how he gets out of that break. Now, I don't know much about all his technique, but that looked real fluid to me in terms of the way in which he was able to get out of that break, keep his hips turning. He didn't seem stiff at all, and you would hope that those are the types of things that he can do, including high point the ball and attack that way. We already talked about Caleb in his breakout year. We dropped dimes on him. Let's see if we miss anything else out here when we talk about things that go on. One last thing before we get to it, we talk about this guy. We just talked about him, and he has signed his rookie deal. First round picks are usually the people that you have the most issue with. I do not believe that all of the Bears' current draft picks have signed their contracts. I could be mistaken, but I know the third Xavier on back was. I'm not sure about Sam Roush just yet. Not sure of exactly how that went, but we'll go with that right there. Also, this guy, second round pick, number 57 overall, Logan Jones, inked his deal. As you can see, and we shooting just a little bit of playful shot at Logan. He's gonna be shaving that hair real soon, and he's gonna have the George Jefferson. All that's going. He ain't gonna have it by the time he's 27. That's not gonna be there, right, Jerry? If anybody know hair, this follicle game is not strong, but up front snapping that ball, he seemed to be like the guy that's gonna take over for Bradbury, if not outright usurp him. I think this is one of those training camp things where you get to look at and see, yes, Garrett Bradbury has the edge right now as being the incumbent veteran, and by incumbent I mean in the league, understands what his assignment is and so on and so forth, the speed. I don't know that either has a leg up on the playbook, and if Logan is able to go ahead, because he won't be missing any camp, and it's important that those guys get signed, because until they are signed, they cannot go to they cannot go to mandatory mini camps and things of that sort, because it is against league rules. You're not an employee as of yet, so it's important to get those guys in, a la Assam, because the later that you get into the camp, the lesser chance you have to learn the playbook and acclimate yourself to actual gameplay. I think at that point it slows down your position when it comes to this 13 personnel, and it gives other people the leg up on you to kind of get snaps that you might have gotten if in fact you're not able to speedily get yourself together. Lastly, before we kind of wrap up a few things, if we got any other questions about stuff, this is what Brett Bielema had to say about things he noticed in OTAs. Real funny to me. He said he got a hairline of the gods. Man, I can have it, but you can see it. You can see the thinning. He combing over already in his 20s, man. So I mean, I'm just saying, Sammy boy, he married already. I see the ring. You and the wife probably got kids already. Soon as your little boy get about 5, that hair got to be gone. He gonna get teased for this, man. Mr. Clean It, baby. We'll talk about it later on. Let's get into what Brett Bielema, former Wisconsin coach. I don't know what Brett is right now, but Brett had an opportunity to watch in on some practice. Let's see what the coach himself had to say about what he saw.
I would say the greatest thing to bring to our lives.
Now, for those of you who don't have G Honda's volume, because I haven't heard, we're listening to 14 clips over here. Nobody say anything with the volume until G Honda popped in. First thing he said that he notices an instant upgrade based on coaching and communication in the building. The coach himself is able to communicate in an appropriate manner, along with the equipment and facilities they've been given, that allows them to have maximum efficiency in the way in which they want to get output. So when you talk about stuff like that, it only gives hyperbole to some of the things people talk about with Ben. And I'm going to look to see if I got one more clip that kind of breaks down what it is that people on the whole may think about Ben. So let's see if I got that. I'm really curious to know if I already have it. And we will jump out on some what I classify as a little bit of funny coverage out here, because this was funny to me. This is what I want to show y'all right here.
I can't believe how people are already talking about Ben Johnson. I can't tell you what wild that's about him. And there's people that have coached with him, that have coached against him, people that have nothing to. I had a coach that's worked with him, and he said this so matter-of-factly, it was like kind of jarring to me. Was, yeah, he's going to be one of the greatest coaches of all time. I can't believe how people are already.
Well, you heard it. The Athletic, Robert Mays of the Athletic, there's people who coach against him and people that coach with him think he's going to be one of the greatest coaches to ever coach in the league. So that's one of the reasons why I think you get to have some. We got a super chat. Just say, what's the price? The block G Honda in the chats. And you know, I'm all about Jade not gonna get 350. That's crazy to me. But hey, whole question real quick. Let's find out. What is the pit price? Oh, you saying crazy stuff about Boston, boy.
Great cash, homie.
She said she about to get you rich. She about to get you gone. Y'all let me know in the chat what we gonna do. We don't got no added option. There we go. The poll is up. What is the fate of one Jeffrey Giraffe G Honda? We got a poll up. Let me know, what is the postal pit price? What does it cost for shipping to ship unruly folks out of the chat? Drop your votes in the pool below. We got a good footwork out here by Dylan Thieneman. We got Logan Jones getting things done out there. We are repping as an organization in the right way. And G Honda is out here giving you things that I don't know if they contribute to what he talking about. Not to mention, I don't know. He likes to piss people off, broski. Jump in that poll real quick before I pull it down. What's the postal pit price for one G Honda? Drop your vote in the chat. We got about 20 seconds before we learn what our shipping prices are around these parts. So we got 10 seconds. All pro level bums. We got 5 and 4, 3, 2. Bam. We're gonna end the poll. What has been the actual vote out here? We got 5 votes. And right now the leader, $40 is the shipping price they want for exit for anybody being kicked out. So we got shipping prices right now for today's stream. The asking price, if you asking twice and you get people pissed off, you can be booted today. Not from all tests, but today we will bid you a due if you are being disruptive for the low price of $39.99. And one of our wonderful mods, me, is going. I have to do it. Now I got a couple questions for us right here. Warner, they know each other from a previous life out here, so they have their own history. Now, I got a question for you guys. What position do we think needs to show up most on defense? Because that would be my question right there. On defense, cornerback, safety, edge rusher, who is going to have to make the biggest impact for us this year? Because I think that's going to be real integral to figuring out exactly how our defense is going to perform. Nonetheless, I would say so you're the last man standing. That's wild. That's wild. Defensive Broski. Look at that. It only took all stream, but we agree. Yeah, we got timeouts for everybody. And unfortunately, sometimes we will have timeout prices. I want nobody to ever take offense to timeout prices. Timeouts, people can buy you back if they want for return shipping. We got all types of
Great cash, homie.
I know you fucking.
it's been sent, brother. As a person who can't mess up shipping, we're gonna have to let me get to my mod duties over here. Moderations. Gotta add some of this to it. Hey, it's a bit different out here. This is where we gonna have to go with it.
Homie. Cash, homie.
I'm only stumped about how to do it. Give me a minute, people. Oh. Hey. You pay for a service. A service has to be rendered. Anybody for the same price can have return shipping to bring G Honda back. But other than that, the customers are always right. The paying customer, and let's just get to this for more encouragement out here. I need y'all to see exactly where we at when people get rejected. And this is where they have to go. If anything goes awry, sometimes the postal pit is where you reside. And broski, I probably have more. I probably got more. I probably got more non-Bear fans that come by the chat on a weekly, because they have a propensity to be from all sides. I appreciate it. One, it lets me know that everything is not biased when we talk about the team. So it allows us to have a more of a civil discourse that doesn't allow me to be so wrapped into my feelings about the Chicago Bears. Because when you think about the way in which OTAs paints a picture for certain people, and I say that in terms of the offensive operation, I think at times it gives us the ultimate high because it makes things seem night and day. And Ben Johnson has already got his system to go. Exactly, broski. I don't mind. Oh, and make no mistake, I would hope that anytime we have any timeouts and blocks, stuff like that, I hope we understand that those are not what's the word I'm looking for? Holding animus in any way for myself or anybody else. I think it's just and good fun. I think it's something to get a good laugh out of. I think nobody should feel annoyed by those things. So if ever anybody feels the need to time someone out, bring them back, the postal pit was made based on feedback from the people that come to the stream often. And we will continue to be able to have those types of things. Now, make no mistake, I like a little bit of antagonist statements, but sometimes I guess it can wear thin on people if we doing too much. So I will make sure that I remember to bring back the tyrant at the end of this stream. But for the meantime, in between time, the only thing they got installed is a new shipping process out here. And as far as I'm concerned, we got a salute for the day. Get back to this Bears talk, because we got a couple more things before we wrap up. Let me get Robert Mays off of my screen, because I don't want to see you NT more. And this is where we go to wrap up the stream for today. I don't know that everybody cares, but I think it's appropriate that we spend the last few minutes of the stream, the knock-knee tyrant. No, it's not permanent. It's not a permanent ban. The monetary amounts will be listed for timeouts versus an actual ban for the day. G Honda is just banned for the entirety of the rest of this stream. Nothing else. Just the rest of this stream here. The other timeouts will be in minute increments, so it wouldn't even exceed 30 minutes or whatever. Hopefully we don't see those types. And that's all. They're temporary though. Temporary fun. I want nobody to be offended by it. I want everybody to be offended by the possibility that the Bears have announced a vote to move forward with a formerly planned $5 billion dome in Hammond, Indiana. A mixed-use development, no less, so they have other things going on. But this is a picture of the rendering, I believe, of the dome that they would prefer the Bears to play in. The exact site is still not determined. There can be emergency gubernatorial sessions if, in fact, the state of Illinois wanted to try to, in the 11th hour, propose a funding element that would allow the Bears to make a different decision. But as of today, or as of Thursday, I should say, the Bears made public that they have voted to move forward with planning for a stadium in in Hammond, Indiana. Ken, if somebody pays to time themselves out, that tells me how much of a whore I am. If you take me out of my misery, I want to time me out. If you time you out, somebody else can say it'll buy you back. So maybe you still lose. They'll buy you back. And then what? When they buy you back, will you know you've been bought back if you time yourself out? Or they say, no, 5 minutes too long for Ken to be gone. We need him back. How are we gonna let you know? Don't cash out of your own insurance policies, people. That's what we're not doing. That's what we're not doing around here. We can't do it, won't do it. It ain't in the books. That's up there for us right now, so you can contemplate your thoughts holistically. And I guess what would be my last poll for us for today. And that poll will say simply, location do you want? We'll start that poll. And here's a question: which rookies end up as starters by the end of the season? Ken took my answer instantly. Was Logan Jones and Malik Muhammad. Logan and Malik. Logan Jones, Malik Muhammad will be your 2 starters. I am trying to think of the particular third that we can get from it, and that third one may be surprisingly on the defensive line. Jordan Vandenberg may give you enough through injury and performance to warrant being a part of that that defensive line core. And I know a lot of people talk about Keyshawn Elliott, but I like Malik and Logan as the best potential opportunities to start 4 seasons in. Oh shit! How did I forget about Dylan Thieneman? He arbitrary, man. I kind of just thought Thieneman was a given. You're right. I don't know how I forgot to mention him. I thought he was kind of in my head he a given already, but absolutely. If Dylan's if Dylan not starting, I'm worried. I'm worried as hell. If Dylan Thieneman does not start, I'm worried like the bejesus. What the hell were we doing if, barring injury, Dylan Thieneman is not on the field week 1 and beyond? That has to be the biggest scare, question, or anything else. Broski, they talk about him a lot in camp as far as being noticed. And if you continuously are noticed by the coaches, I don't think that's a bad thing at all, especially when it's not negative noticing that they're doing to you. They notice that you are being exactly who they need you to be in order to get things going your way. And I think that's why I said he has one of those chances to kind of injury or anything else. He can go ahead and start to put himself in strong consideration to be more than just a rotational type guy. I think he's going to be instantly pegged into starter level playing time. because of the rotation, if not the actual title of starter, if that makes sense. But those three that you mentioned instantly come to mind as who will be starters moving forward as far as their rookie season goes. Others we can pencil in, but if we can get 3 starters from this particular draft class, tell me where that is a lose when it comes to what you do. His get off seems to be pretty substantial, seems to be a bit strong, and he does play with a low center of gravity, Broski. So, thank you. Those types of things that right now be good at one thing, in addition to learning the playbook. After that, learn something else. Continue to add things to your toolbox, and those types of things are going to work out themselves, because I think that that's how you can start to fire. And we got, 8 or 9 picks, and you get 3 starters, and you get a 4th that's firing, like we talked about with Vandenberg. Not to mention, I do have some sort of thoughts for Keyshawn Elliott based on draft stock. You get to see that some of these guys, starter level or not, will have significant contribution to the team itself, the way in which the offense and defense is run. And I think that moving forward, the significance of the draftees every year only heightens and intensifies, because it signifies to the general manager and the scouting staff that they are doing the right things as far as the people they're keeping eyes on. Also, it signifies to the coach that him and his staff is doing the right thing to put people in the right position. And it signifies to the player that they are doing everything they need to do to get the most out of their potential. It spurs desire of free agents to want to be a part of your team and anybody else, because it shows that your coach can get maximum level potential, effort, and productivity from the team on the whole. And I think that those types of things right there really kind of just lay the blueprint, like the stadium, much as to how things are going. Ben is already putting together the joint practices. I believe this year the Bengals are one of those, potentially the Bills. I'm not certain, but it kind of shows already right now. Ben thinks about the lineup and the execution as being different and better, exponentially better than it was last year. So those things have already started to come to fruition when we talk about it. August 20th is the preseason for the Bengals, so we will have some people keep up with those joint practices to see how much more of an intensity comes about those particular things. So it's always nice to be able to speculate about how those things are good to go. And it's always nice to take this opportunity to tell everybody to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Ken, I appreciate you as we wrap up. Super chats are always welcome, everybody. If you are not a member of the page, go ahead and join that membership. We got 3 different rates of membership, all affordable options for you. Super chats, cash apps, all those things help us to continuously get things better. We want to create a better seasonal ambiance for the fan. Once the regular season begins, I want to get better backgrounds, better material, better equipment, so on and so forth. And all of those things take time, they take money, and they take your effort, and I appreciate all of it. You guys have showed out as usual for us, and I appreciate every single one of you for doing so. But I have to always give those caveats right in the middle. And Ken, you absolutely right. Rest in paradise, Stacey King, once again. The stadium news is something that I got everybody's attention with in terms of it being an annoyance, because I believe in a football term, this is the opportunity for the Bears to not fumble. Do exactly what is needed in the state of Illinois. Have discourse to get things ready, get that chamber meeting that needs to happen together, because this is not a done deal. Like I said, a source directly connected to the league says that Arlington Heights is still alive if they can act fast. So like I said, you have to talk about, we talked about short yardage and goal line situations earlier today, Warner. This is 3rd and goal right now, or I might even clarify to say 4th and goal for the state of Illinois. can you draw up the right play so that you don't fumble the ball, fumble it out of the end zone, or get stopped on the line of scrimmage? Because right now, they are fumbling, and in Leon let fashion, you picking the ball up and going the opposite way. You walking into the wrong end zone, and you cannot make this shit up if you think that that won't have a impact on how certain people view the game. Certain people are beholden to names, and the name Chicago Bears to them says that you have to play in Chicago or you're not Chicago Bears, which is vehemently false. But I understand that it has a particular nostalgic place in people's hearts, sentimental value, if you will. And so I want to know what fans actually say about this particular, because fan reactions, not the media voice, is what I care about when we talk about these things. Because you got 72-year-old fans saying things like, we're going to be the Indiana Bears, Dracula. Other lifelong Northsiders saying that Chicago needs to keep Chicago in Chicago. And that has been unrealistic to start, because the Bears were never, even in all of this discourse, going to stay in the city of Chicago. It was always a suburb. And I appreciate trying to get you through, but fans are reacting with feelings as opposed to these shipping prices. Because I got to understand myself, I work in the shipping industry, for lack of a better term, in terms of comparison. If you can find a better shipping rate from UPS and and FedEx or whatever, why would you send it to USPS? Conversely, if I'm the best price, give you the most bang for your buck, and give you the same reliability as the others, then I'm going to use the one that is most cost effective, that gets me exactly what it is that I want. So you got fans on the other side in Indiana, they celebrate. They say Hammond is closer to Chicago than Arlington Heights is anyway. So I understand their logic there, but those are the fans that already live in Indiana, and that is classified as the Chicago land area. And people always want to use it to their advantage until it's not. When you live in those areas, you're Chicago land, and you're proud of it. And when you're a person like me that's the inner city and lived there all his life, you kind of rail against it. But I think that cost conversion, in terms of land surveys, things like that, PSLs, ticket prices, those types of things could be higher than what people pay at Soldier Field, which all of them going to be higher. But it's, what do you want to pay? Because some people want to know our PSL values rolling over. That's not happening. I don't believe that's happening. I think they've talked about that at length. But for me, my question is simply this. No matter where we play this season and beyond, will you root for the Chicago Bears as a franchise? No matter the location. Put a 1 in the chat if you will remain loyal to the Chicago Bears franchise and not to a particular location or a city that they may play in. Property taxes, the infrastructure, tax certainty, all of those types of things are things that need to be considered. And so those are the things that don't allow me to be so emotional about it. And when you say, hey, we moving to Indiana, I don't care. One, and this is why I don't care. For those people that are season ticket holders, traverse the city to go to a lot of games, not even all, but more than I do, you have a right to feel some type of a way about the stadium moving, because it directly inconveniences the things that you want to do. But if you don't go to games, I do not care where we play, simply because that's much like me asking everybody in the chat, what do they want me to buy with the money I make from YouTube, when you have not contributed to me making said revenue. Like, if we asking for feedback on what I should buy for the background, if I should get this, and you're like, yeah, do this, do that, and do that, and you have never super chat or anything else like that, would it be less logical to follow your footsteps than it would be to quote unquote follow the money? So as much as I can be a fan and be upset with that, and to use T Miles, loyal but unhappy, yes, I'm totally unhappy about going to Indiana. I don't want the team to go to Indiana at all. Arlington Heights is my threshold. But if the team picks up and moves, I cannot be mad at them. Like Brooksy said, to put it in perspective, a team who pays the highest annual property taxes, the Rams, pay $9 million a year. They want the Bears to pay $200 million a year, and then they lowered it to $39. So you're not even trying to get us to pay like 12 for inflation. You want to come out swinging and doing too much. I can't be mad at that, especially when I don't pay any of the Bears' bottom lines when it comes to team revenue. So I have to separate my feelings from it and be able to be practical and prudent about the things that it doesn't offer to the team. And I think that it's unfair of me to not want them to be able to achieve their dream of owning their own stadium or having the majority revenue or whatever the case may be. They have a plan. The plan can be executed. I have a plan every week to come out here and try to give you guys content that makes sense, that is relevant, that is enriching and enlightening. And if those things don't happen for you, you would find other persons to satiate that need a lot better than I do. So it's incumbent upon me, I'm Chicago in this instance, to do everything that's needed to be done within my limitations or guidelines to be able to give you a better product that does not make you, the consumer, bend over the rails to pay for it. And those things should be totally unfair for anybody else to want to have the expectation or the say-so when you do not, in fact, own season tickets. And speaking of season tickets, we got a super chat. And Count Dracula asked, am I a super season ticket holder? I am not even a resident of Illinois. In my natural born life, caste societies, social class, and all those things have always been of a situation. The silver spoon was not born in my mouth. And unfortunately, I will possibly never have the monies to afford a season ticket. So, Dracula, no, I am not. 2, I prefer to enjoy the game from the comfort of my own home because I like to partake in the creature comforts. Those things are not offered in a stadium. I like the opportunity to tailgate and to be immersed in nothing but my fans or the majority. But other than that, I don't have a need to be in a stadium. I rarely ever want to be out in the cold, so I'm happy to get in the dome. And I would go to this stadium, the new stadium. I would make it a habit to at least go once because I want to see what's going on out there. But make no mistake, I don't want to move along, but I'm not a season ticket holder, so I won't get in their pockets. And T Miles said, what if we get another Chicago team to play at Soldier Field? Not a liar. Not a liar, Mr. Tucker, at all. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that membership. We ain't none of that. But I don't think they would get a second NFL team. I know Jonathan Hood says that a lot, T Miles. Would they get another team? I don't think they would get another team. And I wouldn't care about another team playing at Soldier Field because I'm a Bears fan. I don't care about what team they put there. Whatever team they put in Soldier Field wouldn't be the Chicago Bears, so I wouldn't care about them. It means nothing to me. This is another team that to be there. Like, with anybody else, if they had 2 teams in Chicago, or 2 teams representing Chicago, I should say, would you defect from being a Bears fan and in turn be whatever that other franchise is? Maybe the AFC franchise? I wouldn't. I'm struggling with Hammond over here because we got big hopes out here for Hammond, and I don't want to go there because it's closer to me. Indiana closer to me to Illinois because where I live, but it's still about 4 or 5 hour trip for me. It's It's a trip home. Now this is where, for me personally, the luxury of the stadium being in Chicago is a hurtful thing. I'm a transplant. And so if I were to want to go to a Chicago Bears home game, it used to afford me the opportunity to make a trip home. It was a full weekend of being able to see my family, hang out, and make a trip. Now, for me personally, and it's still not a problem, I would have to drive past the city of Hammond to go to the city of Chicago and the surrounding suburbs, visit family, and then on Sunday, wake up and make a trek outside of the city going back. And I don't know how far Hammond, Indiana is in proximity to where I live in Ohio. I just know that the state of Indiana is closer to Ohio than Illinois. Doesn't mean that I couldn't be going to Southern or some tip of the place that I don't know about. But I digress. I would be sad because it breaks up how my trip is able to interact or be engaged. But I wouldn't be sad. You know, it's like me shipping something FedEx. I'm inconvenienced. I'm not mad if I don't got to. Shout out to USPS. Shout out. Shout out. Inside jokes. Let's see if we can put a bow on this, because I think the Bears, unless we have this Hail Mary, I think the Bears will move forward with those plans because it's not a bluff. It is a posture, I believe. And I won't say that posturing and bluffing aren't synonymous in a lot of ways. I think that this is calling Illinois' bluff. And if you don't make some headway with what you need to do, we will, in fact, go where we don't want to go. Because like I said, I don't like it. The whole other conversation for why I don't like it. But what I tell you, most importantly, is that I'm not going to stop being a Bears fan. Especially because of the zip code change. Because I changed my zip code. I changed my state. Some people would tell me to get a new team because you don't live in Chicago. How dare you still try to be a fan of them when you haven't lived in the state of Illinois in almost 30 years. So they would say, hey, bro, you're not a Bears fan. You a Browns fan or whatever states I live, they would try to classify and castigate me, and some people do it. But what I tell you is, I'm a Super Bowl fan. I'm going to ride with my team. I can understand why people are upset, but this is 100 years of Chicago identity, and that doesn't wipe away with packing up and moving. When I move to a different house, the memories of my family don't become a different family because I moved. We not the Indiana Bears will never exist. T-Miles. So let's get that out of here. And like those are the things that drive me crazy. I know when some people are being facetious or being a little funny. I don't even take any laughs to Indiana Bears. It's not a real thing. It won't happen. It's almost a moot thing to talk about. So like seriously, unless you moving your franchise away, like the Baltimore Ravens did from the Browns, or something like that. The Baltimore, the Indianapolis Colts were once in Baltimore. They picked up and moved the franchise away. And that was quite a substantial move. It wasn't 30 minutes away. So we're being hyperbolic and oversensitive about things. And the conversation's not over with, but right now, Hammond is the front runner. So y'all let me know how you feel about it. You damn right it was, Rachel. Rachel Cube. Don't be me. Where it's at? Where it's at? You see it. You see it. We don't wear it often, but just for you. Just for you. Look, a little bit at the top, a little bit of the Postal hat. We'll rock it for you for a couple seconds. Give you the mailman's take. If you really want to see the mailman walk them streets, call these YouTube streets out here. Warner, I sell merchandise, as you know. And if you don't know, check out the video that shows you the merch that I sell. new video coming because I got a new slideshow to put together, a new presentation. But Rachel is a proud purchaser of some of my gear, and let's just say her preferred shipping company is FedEx over the wonderful bird gang over here, known as the United States Postal Service. So we had a bit of a what do you want to call it, a back and forth about the superiority of each company. Obviously, you know I'm biased, as I said. Team USPS, it ain't gonna stop. And I worked for UPS when I was an undergrad, but we don't care. And you know, just so people understand, when we talk about FedEx around here, y'all, I might get it on here. Talk about it. Might be. Got it. No. All right. But let me tell you, if you want to use FedEx or anybody else, it's absolutely this. Wrong. If it ain't USPS, it's wrong. That's what I want. I need a larger soundboard so we can get things going. But real quick, strength of schedule is something that we will talk about moving forward because I got a couple. I got a couple relevant points that I want to speak to when we talk about the strength of schedule. We will continue to talk about voluntary training camp as the season of the off season heats up. Any trades, as we still keep our eyes on the June 1 cuts and things of that nature, will be things that we keep up with for the conclusion of the day. Because before you know it, 98 days will be past us. We will be directly linked in to football season. My apologies. That's what we'll be linked into. And Warner, it is a video. If you'd like to check it out, go on the video mailbag. It will show you, the thumbnail will clearly identify itself to show you what video is referencing apparel, prices, and so on and so forth. Colors are basic unless you request otherwise, and we would talk if we had to. Also, real quick, he say they the same. UPS, USPS, FedEx, they the same. No, I'm so vastly different from those guys. I'm not at all like them. They not like us. You understand? I mean, you don't, but you do. Team Blue, baby. Team Blue out here. We gonna represent. All the blues, get my clues out here. Navy, Sky, Royal, Postal, Navy, all of that. We do it like that. You did. But this is what gives me confidence ultimately when we talk about the Bears moving forward in terms of offensive progression, the ascension of the team. Ben Johnson. And if Ben Johnson and this OTA footage was any indication of what he and the Bears are building, I think the Bears want those games right there because we're not shying away from the schedule this year. We're going to embrace it. We're not shying away from competition. And it gives us just more of an opportunity to prove that all aspects of the team can improve. Last year was the inaugural season of Ben Johnson. It was not the finished product. So when we think about the way in which players can improve, so on and so forth, I don't think that he was being hyperbolic at all when he talks about being able to coach them better, understand the personnel better, and do things that suit the personality of the team to be, utmost in its progressions. So, again, I appreciate everybody for hanging out with us today. If you got value added tonight or today, the afternoon, go ahead and hit that like button. If you see videos that you want to check out throughout the course of the day, while we're looking for gift shops, make sure to go ahead and hit that hype button. We get 3 of those a week, I believe. I would appreciate and be very humbled by the opportunity to get a video hyped, and likes put those videos into the algorithm, help me to get noticed. I did drop a premiere video on review yesterday. Sadly, we are still in the infancy stages of practice, as we forgot something very, very critical to that video, which was the commentary of the podcast of First Things First. Nonetheless, I think I gave you an adequate enough back and forth with my own feedback to imply exactly what they were talking about. We got other videos even if not. So let's make sure we get those all checked out for us. Send me your takes in the comments. Like I said, I read every single one of them. I try to respond to every one that I see in the post, in the shorts, videos, live streams. We want to try to get it all together. Obviously, as always, you want to support the post office. Postal Gang accepts cash apps. We got it listed for you. Super chats. The membership is something that is very heavy. Hope people continue to renew memberships and spread the word so that we get more members to be a part of our illustrious sorority/fraternity with our brethren and sisters. I appreciate everybody. Like I said, today is time to go get hydrated and get ready for our first 90-degree humidity day tomorrow. So we will get out here, get some water drinking, get some IV to the system. And until next time, everybody, and until next delivery, I am your host, Postman 1914. This is Mailbox Sports. Shout out to everybody who has showed up and shown out. And we are gone.